last 16. So can the Japanese spring a huge shock and end their long wait, or will the weight of history come down in the Brazilians' favour again? We're underway. Brazil kicking from left to right. Lay it back for Alisson, whose long ball launched forward, looking for Cunha, is headed away, brought down at the back by Danilo. Japan return it to halfway, where they can get it under clean control with Marquinhos. He's had a wonderful season. Winning the Champions League again. He's been really lightly raced over the second half of the season in French football, where he's hardly played a league game since January, just to make sure that he was fit and ready for the Champions League campaign and for this. And he's in possession again, finding Arsenal's Gabriel. Worked out towards Douglas Santos, the Brazilian left back. Japan herring after them in the early stages. Ball that's played back towards Alisson, chased after by Junior Ito with a shock of blonde hair. Brazil will be able to get it away after Alisson was put under pressure. And there's a tigerish press already in evidence from Hajime Moriya's Japan side. 0-0 with a minute gone here in Houston. And already Lucas Paquetá is down, and he's just feeling his right hamstring.
Yeah, not a good sign for the Brazilians. Just involved. I don't know whether it's a sort of muscle strain or whether it was a contact strain. He was really tight in contact.
Brazil take a free kick and very quickly get it down towards Ryan, the 19-year-old Bournemouth winger, coming off the right-hand side. It's only his 5th cap today. Play back again to Danilo around the edge of the penalty area. Japan can turn possession over, but then lose that straight away. And Suzuki deliberately dives inside a shot that was coming towards his left-hand post. Took a deflection on its way through. He wouldn't have been able to prevent the corner anyway, but it will be the first Brazilian corner of the game, which will be taken on their right-hand side. Good start from them. 2 gone. 0-0. Bruno Guimaraes coming across the tapers.
Yeah, really high tempo to the game. Initiated firstly by the Japanese press, and then Brazil have responded from that. And Bruno just initiating the fans, but this sea of yellow don't need too much excitement and encouragement.
6 aside the penalty area for Brazil, and another hands on hips makes their way in now. It's a poor delivery that was easily headed away by Ito at the near post, and out for another throw, but in a much deeper position for the Brazilians. And Lucas Paquetá coming across to take it is going to abdicate responsibility in the end. It's thrown back towards Marquinhos. 72,000 packed in here to the Houston Stadium. Winners of this play either Norway or the Ivory Coast in New Jersey on Sunday. And then if things pan out as the rankings would have you believe, it could be England, followed by Argentina, followed by France. That's their potential pathway. And what can happen, of course. Japan making their way forward here down the left. They won their first corner. Marquinhos across with the block. And he did well to flick it away from Maeda and onto him. And a play for a goal kick to Brazil and Alisson. 0-0. Good tempo about the game in the early stages here on TalkSport.
Yeah, as we do at this stage of tournaments, Jim, just outside the group stage, we look at potential routes to the final, and the one you've just mentioned there, it is a really, really tough route for either of these two teams. You know, if you're going to win the final and you win all those games, you certainly deserve to.
Cunha thought that he was wrestled to the ground. Japan able to play on. Nakamura laying it back for Hiroki Ito on the left of the 3 centre-halves. Taniguchi recalled at the heart of the defence today to replace the injured Itakura. They haven't been happy with who's been playing on the right-hand side of the 3 centre-halves. They've not been happy with the balance that they've had yet. They've recalled Tomiyasu there today. And they've had 3 different starters in the 4 games there on the right of the 3. They play the ball forward here. Suzuki comes outside the penalty area for Japan and just punched it away from Vinicius. Had to make sure that he made contact before the ball was with Vinicius, and as a result he came close to flicking it away when it was still outside the penalty area, but the officials will have had a look at it. Play allowed to restart with a throw. It's taken back to Brazil. Douglas Santos to Gabriel, and out wide to the full-back again. Lucas Paquetá has it, not showing too many ill effects now. That slight hamstring problem that he seemed to have incurred inside the opening minute or so of the game, but he can't keep this in. It's gone out for a throw that will be taken on the Japanese right. Now it's thrown back towards Taniguchi, who will find his goalkeeper Suzuki with 5 gone.
Yeah, you can see the tactical approach of the Japanese, and it's correct as well. Every time Brazil have the ball, they're hurrying them, they're chasing them, and you cannot afford to let this Brazilian side, with the talent they've got in their ranks, get in a routine and get their confidence built. And the Japanese have done particularly well there. Tomiyasu just getting done by a spin by Vinicius Junior earlier there, and as you rightly said, Suzuki just coming out to the edge of his box and bailing him out.
Marquinhos on the edge of the centre circle for Brazil, whips it to his left-hand side again for Gabriel. What makes this so intriguing is the fact that Japan beat Brazil for the first time in their history back in October. They were 2 down in that game and came back to win it 3-2 in Tokyo. So they've got the confidence. Remember, of course, they beat Spain and Germany in the last World Cup. They are a team, possibly more than any other in world football, who have a reputation as being giant slayers, that they can beat the better teams. They are much, much better when they're playing against better teams. So I don't think you can necessarily read too much into a draw with Sweden as a portent for this particular fixture. You can see that a free kick here, though, just 20 yards outside the penalty area. It's level with the left-hand edge of the box, and Japan are going to have to drop back into a shape with a line strung across the middle third of the penalty area widthwise, probably mirroring the 6-yard box in behind it. It's a defensive line that is about a yard outside the box as Brazil prepare to work a set piece in here. Marquinhos in a central position, stands hands on hips. Danilo is in there as well. So to Gabriel in behind him. It's hoisted high. Suzuki very quickly out. Oh, he spilt it, and then on his way down, catches it. Good goalkeeping in the end from Zion Suzuki, who's had an excellent tournament so far. The Palmer goalkeeper, another who is expected potentially to be moving elsewhere after an impressive tournament. And he's got Japan on the front foot here with some good crisp goalkeeping. So played it out towards Tomiyasu. His ball forward towards Doan, who couldn't control it, although he has actually been given a throw over on that far side, and initially it looked as though it might have gone the other way. Good start of the game through the opening 7 goalless minutes.
Yeah, as you say, Suzuki brilliant there, come off his line. What you want to see as a defender, your goalkeeper taking charge of a situation, just spilt it, Gabriel under pressure from him, and just atoned for it. And as we say at the moment, you're looking at this Brazilian ranks and you think, you would suspect over the 90 minutes that at least one of them will create something special to get a goal and break deadlock, but this finishing 0-0 is beyond our comprehension, Jim.
Yeah, utterly. Vinicius has already scored 4 goals in this World Cup. He scored in every game so far, including 2 against the Scots. Mateus Cunha got a couple against Haiti, has got 3 in his 2 starts before today. But Japan, for their part, have already scored more goals at this World Cup than at any other in which they've ever played. Vowed intention from the Japanese FA that they'd win this competition by 2050. Coach Morias reckons they'll do it a lot sooner than that. Here's Bruno Guimaraes. Brazil 20 yards outside the Japanese penalty area as they string the passes together. Gabriel works it onto his left foot, now has the license to stride forward 10 yards or so. He's played it into the feet of Vinicius, and then it comes back again. Vinicius makes a diagonal run back towards the centre circle, offering himself for a pass from Marquinhos, but it's played out towards the right instead for Ryan. Ryan getting it onto his favoured left foot. It's an aerial ball out of the left back. Douglas Santos cushions that down towards Gabriel. So Marquinhos has it again. And Gabriel drives another one out towards the far touchline. Casemiro dropping deep, splitting the 2 centre-halves, is played in. He works it down towards Marquinhos. Japan happy with the lack of possession at the moment. Brazil stringing the passes together, making a little bit of headway. Suzuki hasn't had a difficult shot to deal with in the opening 9 minutes here on TalkSport. That might change now. Ball hooked high inside the penalty area, chested down, good defensive header from Doan. They still haven't got it cleared, and then one Brazilian player is knocked off his feet as Bruno Guimaraes fired one in, and it hit him in the face. Lucas Paquetá was. Sorry, Stu. Play continues with Brazil a little bit deeper. Gabriel de Marquinhos. Marquinhos floating it forward. He's heading down. Suzuki's there first. But it's all Brazil in an attacking context so far.
Yeah, Brazil are being very effective at this moment in time. The rotation that they're showing, players turning up in different areas of the pitch, permanent rotation amongst the ranks. And what Japan will be hoping to do is turn the ball over when they are in mid-rotation and spread to play, and then try and get a possession on the ball and attack, certainly in this central midfield area where Casemiro's anchoring the midfield, but there's big spaces around him.
Daichi Kamada has it. Crystal Palace man has also had a really good tournament so far for the Japanese. A couple of goals for him, netting against both the Dutch and Tunisia. Just shuffle his way forward here. Sano is the deepest lying of the Japanese midfielders. Plays it back. Taniguchi, Hiroki Ito, Tomiyasu. Flick on from Junya Ito. And now out towards the left-hand side. That's the spread of play that they love for Nakamura. Right-footed cross from him. Handed away by Marquinhos on the edge of the 6-yard box. Still 0-0 here on TalkSport. First sign of any real attacking intent from the Japanese. And a typical move forward. Taniguchi warns everybody else off as he then heads the ball away before coming together in the midfield. Will give Brazil a free kick. Sano, the Japanese player who's been penalised with Vinicius down.
Well, Vinicius is claiming that was a free kick. He's caught him on the follow-through, but there was no intent whatsoever. Both players had gone for the ball. And as I say, as the ball squirmed away from both of them, it was Vinicius Junior that just got his ankle trod upon. And just a little sighter there for Brazil, suggesting, look, it's all very well, all your build-up play, but there's two sides of the game, and Japan have suggested by putting that ball in the box, you're going to have to defend as well to win this game.
Sano booked for that challenge. First player to have his name taken so far. Nobody coming into the game on the risk of getting a suspension because of accrual of yellow cards. They were all wiped out after the group stage. If you get booked today and you get booked in the round of 16 tie, then you've missed the quarter-final through suspension. Casemiro tries to angle the ball forward for Vinicius, who hasn't had too much service so far. It's picked up by Doan, who's playing at right wing-back today, having played a more advanced position in a couple of the games so far, but this is the role that we saw him excel in, playing in the last World Cup and also playing against England at Wembley in that win-back in March. Japan get it forward, but they don't have it for long. As Casemiro gets his foot on the ball again inside the centre circle. Side-footing it forward, an excellent ball. Cunha will try and take it on. Cunha with a left-footed shot, and Suzuki couldn't take any chances. Got down and flicked it away with his right hand round the post for another corner.
Yeah, it was Cunha that managed to get the shot away, but it was initiated by Casemiro's ball.
Corner taken short, out on the Brazilian left. Pulled back across the edge of the penalty area. Nice reverse ball back in, and a scooped effort off balance goes wide. Excellent move again from Brazil, getting themselves into some good positions in these early stages. They can't find a way through in the opening 13 minutes.
Great interaction. I've got to say, the Brazilians' movement off the ball is very, very good. And Japan at this moment in time are just trying to wrestle that momentum back from them and take the sting out of the game with some possession work.
Well, they have it now. Work forward through the midfield for Junya Ito. Nice turn from him, running towards the edge of the area. Was he brought down? Yes. A big gash along the playing surface after the challenge from Casemiro, who is also now on a yellow card.
I'll tell you what, I can't see Casemiro certainly finishing the 90 minutes here now. He's got a booking to his name. Looks a little bit leggy there, trying to recover back to position. And that'll be the area that the Japanese will look to exploit if they can.
So central midfielders from both teams on yellow cards through the opening 15 minutes. Well, we talked about the balance having been slightly adjusted in that Brazilian midfield from the first game where they really struggled against Morocco. A little bit more support for Casemiro coming back, but he's going to need it now that he is on a yellow card.
Yeah. I'm not sure there is that support there, Jim, to be fair. Not when, you know, Bruno and Paqueta look to go and play, and their natural instinct is go and support the attack and get in good attacking positions.
Well, this is a free kick in a great area. So Brazil have lined up a 5-man wall, which is level with the penalty spot, left of the spot. They've got 2 players down in draft excluded positions behind it, just the one, I think. Japan have built their own mini wall at a legitimate distance away and to the right-hand side, so it's between the Brazilian wall and the penalty spot. The actual angle of that 3-man Japanese mini wall has been adjusted. Doan standing over this fancies it. Could be a left-footed effort over the wall from him. It could be Kamada. It is the Crystal Palace man. The wall did its job and deflects the free kick away. It was a little bit too low. And Japan get a corner out.
Really poor free kick there. As a left foot and a right foot are on the ball, and also a 3-man Japanese wall blocking Alisson's viewpoint, but it was just cannoned straight into the wall, probably at about knee level.
Ito across to take the corner. 2 Japanese players right in front of Alisson. Still defending zonally here with 2 lines of 4. In it comes towards the near post. It's headed down into the ground, but Brazil are able to poke it away. Japan win it at the back and very quickly get it forward towards Junior Ito again. He's got Nakamura making a bombing run down the left-hand side. Now he's quick, but he's not as quick as that. Junior Ito gave him no chance of being able to get on the end of that ball. Adrenaline coursing through his veins. Should have been able to play a much more effective pass in the position he was in. And possession is surrendered. It's a goal kick which Brazil will take. Some game here on TalkSport. Later, we've got Germany-Paraguay, which kicks off at 9:30. And then the Netherlands against Morocco is a 2 a.m. kickoff. All of the games are here on the TalkSport network, all 104. This one is number 76, and every game from here on in, of course, barring the third place playoff, see somebody get eliminated. Stakes are high. Japan bringing the ball forward again. The ball down the right-hand side of the box. Maeda. Cross that is blocked. Out of play. They haven't been able to get away to the striker into the game at all as yet. Will they be able to now from this throw from an advanced position? It's about 15 yards from the corner flag. It would talk sport. Jim Bradford and Stuart Pearce talking through the action in Houston, where it is 0-0. Brazil with the majority of chances so far. This is Japan's best phase of the game. Ball was thrown in from the right-hand side. Ueda came to meet him, and the referee immediately put his whistle to his mouth. I think it was a handball. Thank you, Stu. Which will be taken by the Brazilians. That free kick on the edge of their own box.
Yeah, just looking at the positional play, Vinicius Junior drifting inside, attaching himself on occasion to Tomiyasu on the build-up and looking to little darts in behind him for balls over the top. Paqueta is taking his place on occasion, and they're just switching up a little bit between the two of them in the hope that the Japanese backline will switch off.
Well, they haven't got the ball. Japan very much a line of 5 defending. Doan going across to try and deal with Douglas Santos. The one thing that you'd say about this particular iteration of the Brazilian team is that they don't have marauding, gallivanting fullbacks in the same way that the teams we grew up with did have. And there's no Cafu or Roberto Carlos on view here. So maybe when you've got more attack-minded wing-backs in the Japanese team to be able to deal with them, that's easier to do than it would have been against some previous Brazilian sides. Paqueta will get the ball forward now towards the feet of Vinicius, who immediately has the 2 blonde-haired Japanese players around him. It's come off, Doan goes out of play for a throw, taken by the Brazilians very quickly. Back for Marquinhos, who to his right-hand side has Danilo, former Manchester City man. A little 1-2 with Marquinhos, and then a ball out to the right which left a lot to be desired. Ends up coming off Cunha and going out for a throw that Japan will take with Nakamura. 19 minutes in, it's 0-0, and A tie that you and I both thought was mouth-watering, the prospect of it. Now it's come to pass, and it hasn't let us down so far. So intriguing, albeit that haven't had a really decent effort in the opening 20 minutes.
Yeah, just going back to your point that you made pre-game. Just let this elapse.
That's a cross-field ball, is flicked out towards the left-hand side for Vinicius, gets towards the byline, swung in from him and headed away by Taniguchi. Back outside the penalty area again. Paquetá had a lot to do to be able to wrap his left foot around it, but he could get it inside the box. Tomiyasu clears the halfway. Brazil will build from the back.
Yeah, your point that you made before the game with Cunha playing as a centre forward, and potential movement, do you go in with him or not? The Japanese have answered that by saying no, we don't. We just hold our positions, and as a back five we say you come to us rather than we go to you, which keeps that back line in post, which I think is a good thing, especially with the rotation of the Brazilians in the front line.
So when he's standing in the number 9 position as he is now, Cunha, he's got Taniguchi on his shoulder, not giving him any room, but Taniguchi just stays there almost in the sweeper role for Japan. As Cunha drops deep as he does now, Taniguchi just watches him go, almost passes him on to Kamada. Brazil take possession on the left-hand side of midfield. Vinicius back into the feet of Cunha. This is another illustration of it, that Cunha is playing as an extra central midfielder, and there's such an obvious line of 5 defenders even when he is in there. Just let him go and defend only. Gabriel, 10 yards outside the Japanese penalty area. Bruno Guimaraes trying to twist his way through, unable to do so. Long diagonal is on down towards the Brazilian right for Danilo, but hit it too long over his head, sails out of play for a Japanese throw with about a minute to go to the hydration break in this first half here on TalkSport, and it's still 0-0.
I think it's a really good tactic by the Japanese, just to sit in place. It makes life a lot easier as a defender to know full well, look, if he drops into midfield, do I go, do I not? They know full well. They're staying in post, let the midfield deal with it.
And the longer the game stays 0-0, and the need becomes greater for Brazil, that will just play into Japanese hands, you would imagine, because they have this brilliant innate ability on the counter-attack. So just soak it up. It's not up to them to chase the game, really. Brazil will feel a responsibility to do exactly that. They're unbeaten in 6, Japan unbeaten in 10 coming into this game, although Japan have only won 1 of their matches out here. More defending for them to do now, and it's going to be a corner, I think, before the hydration break. A goal kick given.
I think they've missed a free kick there. Cunha done really well, went on the outside. And we're just catching a replay of that again. I'm astounded that's not a free kick. Yeah, that's a free kick.
And Sano has got to be careful, because he's the Japanese midfielder that's already been booked, and he slid in. The ball had got past Cunha, and he's caught him with his thigh on the bottom of Cunha's leg as he slid in. It is a hydration break, and it's a perfect opportunity for Hajime Moriyasu, the Japanese coach, just to get in the ear of Sano and calm him down. He won't get away with another one of those, I wouldn't imagine, and the next one could see him set off.
Yeah, as I say, the referee done him a favour there. I'm not suggesting I would have booked him for that challenge, but it's certainly a free kick. He's not got him with his leading leg, which he was fortunate that he didn't, but the trailing leg and the thigh contact certainly made it a free kick in my book.
So if you're Ancelotti, what's the message that you're giving to your players now, 22 minutes in at 0-0?
Well, I don't think there's any surprises in the game as it's evolved at the moment. Brazil have had plenty of the ball. Every 5 minutes or so, Japan wrestle momentum back from them, keep possession of the ball a little bit, and on the odd occasion probably get up the pitch a little bit and suggest just be careful. If you're Brazil, don't vacate the midfield. Casemiro's job's absolutely vital. Now he's booked, how long he'll do that job for is a question mark, and that is the area of the pitch, I think, somewhere down the line, if Japan are going to get the breakthrough against Brazil, it's going to come from either turning the ball over and going through midfield, or eventually that area being vacated and space there for them.
And as we look down, Carlo Ancelotti with his white hair and his immaculate dark suit, he's got his technical staff behind him, and he's got the Brazilian players in their canary yellow shirts facing him in a deferential semicircle, and he's making his point, not in an animated manner, but he's chatting most predominantly at the moment to Casemiro and to Bruno Guimaraes, just pointing a few things out, getting his message across about what needs to change. More of a ragged circle away to our right-hand side as the Japanese coach Morias also gets his message across. Remember, the winners of this take on either Norway or the Ivory Coast in New Jersey on Sunday, live on TalkSport. Later today, Germany, Paraguay at 9:30. Interesting to see the German reaction to the disappointment of that defeat against Ecuador, which was only an academic one, but it would have been a shot across their bow and a reality check. Netherlands against Morocco, another one of the most appetizing round of 32 ties, is a 2 a.m. kickoff tonight, your time. It is live on TalkSport as well. But what a privileged position we're in here in Houston to be able to talk you through your commute home and talk you through a barnstorming round of 32 World Cup tie involving the 5-time world champions. I don't think we've seen anything so far in the first 23-24 minutes of this game to suggest that it's going to transpire in a different way to how we anticipated, Stuart. Both sides doing what we expected them to do. Yeah,
indeed. And the one thing, if I was probably the Japanese manager now, I'd be saying, look, when we do turn the ball over, we showed some composure, but we've just got to make sure that there's been the odd occasion that ball's just been cleared. They've got to be a little bit more clinical on the ball.
So from the restart, Japan getting on the front foot with an early corner, which will be taken over on the right-hand touchline. It's their second of the game. Haven't had a single shot on target so far. Cunha with an effort tipped wide that I think has actually gone down as a shot off target. Suzuki still, without taking a chance, decided to help around the post. What are Japan going to be able to do from this corner? So again, they stand with one in front of Alisson. Maeda making his way towards the near post, creates space in behind him, but the subsequent header goes over the bar. It's delivered very deep, and Ueda going up for it, unable to keep it down.
Yeah, good ball in there. Ueda had it all on, had bodies around him. He's jumping amongst two Brazilian players, Gabriel being one of them, and just couldn't get a clinical header away.
Now it's Ueda that scored the winner when the last time the two sides met back in October. A famous victory for the Japanese, who'd never previously beaten Brazil. He was also far and away the leading scorer in the Dutch Eredivisie this season, with his 26 goals for Feyenoord. Japan again illustrating their ability to press from the front when Brazil have possession at the back. Brazil get it forward with Alisson. He's looking for Cunha. It was cleared by Taniguchi. The Japanese would have been offside had Junior Ito been able to get a foot on that. He just let it go, and Alisson side foots it out again. To Gabriel. It's 0-0 here in Houston with 28 minutes gone on TalkSport. It's Marquinhos. Plays it down towards Danilo. Gets it again. Going to make more than 200 appearances for Juventus. Back for Alisson, who's played more than 330 now for Liverpool. He's only lost one of his 12 World Cup ties, which was the semi-final, or the quarter-final, sorry, to Belgium back in 2018. Brazil's recent World Cup record: quarter-final, semi-final, and one of the worst days in their history. 7-1 defeat of Germany, then quarter-final. Looking for a lot more this time round. They've got it with Ryan, who's dropped deep in the midfield, but that's created some space in behind him for Danilo. He's given it away, and this is the turnover of possession that Japan play for. Sano running towards the edge of the area, scores! Drove forward into space, slots it into the bottom left-hand corner. Sano gives Japan the lead, and the samba beat is silenced just for a moment. Brazil knew they were in a proper game here, and boy do they know that now. 29 minutes gone in Houston. Brazil 0, Japan 1. One can concession of possession, and Sano punishes them emphatically.
Well, listen, we painted a picture of how the goal was going to come, and that was a blueprint for it. A loose pass just inside their own half, Brazil, and Sano's just run past Casemiro as though he's towing a fridge, to be quite honest with you. And from that moment on, Casemiro's give his wicket away. He's got to back off. And Sano's just drove at the heart of the Brazilian backline, who were backing off. There was runners either side of him, and what a clinical finish that was, into the corner, past Gabriel's right trailing foot. It might have took a flick off his foot to beat Alisson, maybe. But this game is, well, I wouldn't say turned on its head, but this is going to be an interesting game from now on.
OK, so here is the test of your World Cup credentials if you're Brazil. To go, a goal down at home to a Japanese side that don't concede many, that haven't lost in 10 and have only been beaten twice in 28, and who've already come back from 2 down to beat you once already this season. How will Brazil respond? Sano's goal, the first of his international career. It's all about picking your moment.
I'll tell you what Brazil need to do as well. They need to get their 2 wide players. I can't remember Rayan having much of a positive contribution at the moment, and Vinicius Junior as well on that side. Maybe he needs to hug the width a little bit to receive in these one-on-one scenarios like he's got it now.
They're coming off the left flank. Vinicius sees his ball in blocked. Ito got it away. They're a very, very good team at being able to sit on leads. Brazil, to their credit, in their World Cup history, when they've gone 1-0 down in games, they've still won nearly as many as they've lost. 15 they've won and lost 16. They have come from behind to beat Japan in a World Cup game before. That was in the group stage back in 2006 in Dortmund. They had Ronaldo leading the line that day. He's here today, came off the bench and scored, he played through the middle and scored twice that day in a 4-1 success. But this is a very different Japan team now. They've conceded a free kick in the Brazilian left wing position.
I'll tell you what I find incredible about the standard of refereeing, Jim, is, I mean, to be fair, the referee's got it right there, but I see a lot of the time that decisions get given by the reaction of one of the players that's involved in a challenge. So it's almost an afterthought to give the free kick in that direction. Now, to be fair, having watched the replay, probably got it right, but I think he got it right because of the reaction rather than what he saw.
With Talk Sport, where Brazil are trailing in the World Cup. Last 32 tie with Japan. Free kick is swung inside the penalty area. First contact from a Brazilian. I think it's gone out of play down by the corner flag for a goal kick, which Suzuki will take. Brazil have failed to win any of their last 5 matches when they've conceded first at the World Cup. The last time that they were able to turn over this situation was against Croatia back in 2014. A draw here, of course, takes the game to firstly extra time and then to penalties. So they've only got to get themselves back level. They've got nearly an hour to do it on Talk Sport, but they do trail here by a golden ill, scored by Sano, who could be making headlines around the world. Bruno Guimaraes, little crisp 1-2 around the edge of the penalty area. Now right-footed shot, Suzuki's able to get his body behind it and make the save as Vinicius hit it with his right foot, but he couldn't get it either side of the goalkeeper, and it's a comfortable stop.
Guimaraes just laid one off there. I thought he could have turned and got the shot away himself. And just looking at the Japanese, they were playing out from the back and lost possession of the ball. The team were quite split and spread. But as soon as they lost possession, their players are a 3/4 pace getting into a shape again, Jim. And that's what makes them such a good team. And I emphasise the word in bold language, team.
Absolutely. Part of the Japanese mentality. Remember, the winners of this potentially could be quarter-final opponents for England. A lot of water's got to go under the bridge before that. And 2 Brazilian players tackling each other in the midfield. Casemiro upended Lucas Paquetá. They're both back on their feet. Casemiro able to maintain possession for Brazil, and now hits a right-footed ball down towards this near side where it's controlled by Danilo, and he finds a little bit of space. Ryan making his way into the centre. Ball clears, hits the chin of a Japanese defender. Now out towards the left-hand side. Vinicius playing it back. Paquetá's effort is blocked. Doan tries to get it away. Brazil recycle it again. Vinicius once more on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Got two white shirts between him and goal. And he can't get the cross in, and then Ito will be able to bring the ball away for Japan, although not too far. Brazil turning the screw. Paquetá just threaded the ball between the legs of Vinicius, who couldn't adjust his stride to get it under control. Goes out of play for a goal kick in front of a smallish pocket of blue-shirted Japanese fans away to our right-hand side. Plenty of them here in Houston, but the vast majority of the 70,000 crowd here are bedecked in glorious Brazilian yellow. Now there are some long faces in amongst that lot at the moment. Taniguchi's giving it away on the edge of his own penalty area. Bruno Guimaraes slipping into his left-hand side. Cunha peeling away, setting up Vinicius. Can't get a shot in. Back heel flick from him. Bruno sees Doan knock it away from him, so he can't get a shot in either. Brazil then work the ball back round the horseshoe to Casemiro. Down to Gabriel. Lucas Paquetá clipping it, left-footed, forward, header away from inside the box. Now Ueda winning it back for Japan, getting it out towards Junior Ito. They're not counter-attacking with huge numbers here, Japan, but they can win a throw, and that will get them back up the field and away from the edge of their own penalty area, where they have been camped in the last 8-9 minutes or so, and they now have a throw about 15 yards inside Brazilian territory. It is 1-0 to Japan here on TalkSport.
Yeah, you could tell. I mean, we've covered a number of group games, Jim, but the ante has gone through the roof. Now we're in knockout stage. You can feel the, I don't know, frustration with some, the excitement. It really is. This stadium has really got that feel of a knockout game on its hands.
Japan have never won a single knockout match at the World Cup. Is this their time? Is this the place? Is it going to come today, 2026, against Brazil, the 5-time world champions, who have never been eliminated from the competition this early? Never been knocked out when there've still been 16 teams left in it. It's only the 4th game of their campaign. Back in 1966, they were knocked out having only played 3. Got possession with Gabriel. There's still a long way to go. This first half, 7.5 minutes plus at least 3 added. Marquinhos has possession, but the potential shock is just beginning to take shape here in southern Texas. Gabriel for Brazil, 15 yards outside the penalty area. Slips into his left-hand side for Lucas Paquetá. Paquetá not happy. Threw his arms up in the air there because he was expecting better movement. I think it was Ryan that he was cross with.
Yeah, I'm just going to make the point that the movement that we mentioned pre-game and at the start of the game from the front players has sort of diminished a little bit. There's more static players in the Brazilian lineup than there certainly were in the first 10-15 minutes of the game. Probably credit to the Japanese backline not being drawn out a slot.
Now the Brazilians forced to try and take speculative efforts from outside the penalty area already. It was Cunha that time. It was an easy save for Suzuki. Cunha, who came into the tournament with only 1 international goal to his name, but he's scored 3 in this World Cup so far. Manchester United man leading the line, but dropping deep on this occasion to link up the play. Working down towards the 19-year-old Bournemouth winger, Ryan. Ryan shown inside here by Nakamura, who actually, just as we were bigging him up before the game, has had relatively little influence so far. Casemiro. Down to the right-hand side for Danilo. Bruno Guimaraes taking over. A little 1-2 between the pair of them. Brazil trailing Japan here by a goal, and it's been the way of it for the last 10 minutes now. Vinicius Trying to come in from the left-hand side. He's played it to Casemiro. Casemiro's touch was a poor one. And Maeda very quickly makes his way forward on the counter-attack, but he had nothing in the way of support. Wins the throw, which was the best he could do. But that was another illustration of how dangerous it can be when you lose possession. Casemiro, with one sloppy touch, had no chance of being able to get the turn of pace to get back and put any pressure on the Japanese player in possession. They just couldn't get the bodies forward to join him.
Yeah, I'll be surprised with all things considered. The booking for Casemiro, there's a little bit of lack of pace against a team that will exploit that, whether he'll see beyond the first half of them, beyond the half-time, Jim.
Yeah, Fabinho would be the natural replacement, or potentially Danilo Santos, the former Nottingham Forest player. Casemiro's got it again here, bringing it forward. Ball between the lines for Cunha, then laid back for Lucas Paquetá. Douglas Santos, Vinicius, right-footed cross, blocked by Junior Ito. The work rate from the Japanese forwards out of possession is absolutely exemplary. Marquinhos wearing 4. Brazilian captain plays it down to the right, and it's worked quickly back again. Bruno Guimaraes to Marquinhos, winning his 109th cap today. 500 PSG games, back-to-back Champions League triumphs, but work to do in this one. High ball swung inside the Japanese penalty area is easily claimed by Sion Suzuki, and the goalkeeper in his dark green just takes the catch, rolls it out calmly for Nakamura, and Japan will be able to build from the back again in their left wing back position. He's got back inside his own penalty area. Kamada drops between the centre halves and works it out to Tomiyasu.
I'll tell you what, I'm seeing the attitude of the Brazilian players diminishing now. They're working less and less and less and looking at each other a bit more to see, well, who's going to do the hard work out of possession. And the Japanese are getting in shape. They almost send a message out. If you work hard, we'll work slightly harder than you. And at the moment, all they've got to do is get in shape, because the movement of the Brazilian attack isn't there.
7 attempts to 3 as far as Brazil are concerned so far, but they haven't had a good one. Sano giving Japan the lead. Perfect execution of their game plan. And a very difficult side to shake out of an advantage when they've got their noses in front because of their defensive ability. England can testify to that, having conceded a goal at Wembley at pretty much the same stage of the game. Japan bringing it forward here with Rich Doan down the right. He's level with the edge of the Brazilian box. Trying to turn it back for Tomiyasu, and it took a touch off a Brazilian. Goes out of play actually for a Japan throw. I think the Brazil players and the fans behind the hoardings on the far side expected it would go the other way. Familiar Brazilian flag is waved in a little bit of frustration as that decision goes Rich Doan's way. He's taken the throw back towards halfway. Kamada to the goal scorer Sano. Little flick from Junior Ito, back out for Doan again, wearing 10, coming towards the edge of the penalty area. Doan swinging the ball in, and it's headed away by Marquinhos. Seconds one by Kamada, down to the left. Coming forward is Hiroki Ito, sends in a deep cross, and the Brazilian defenders headed away, put it out for a throw down by the corner flag, with the retreating Douglas Santos just happened to turn it away from the path of Doan, who was coming in behind him. Throw that Japan will take on their right, only about 6 yards from that corner flag. They lead 1-0, and the longer the game goes on, the more you'd say they deserve it.
Well, this is definitely, Jim, team is better than individual, and the individuals of Brazil are slipping away with their work rate as you look at them.
Tomiyasu, Sano, he was fouled by Casemiro. Play goes on. The referee acknowledging the foul, playing the advantage. It's Maurizio Mariani, the Italian official, who's taking charge of this one today. 1-0 Japan lead Brazil here in Houston, live on TalkSport. The first round of 32 game yesterday was a touch disappointing. This one's been anything but. Great story with Canada winning it late on as they did, but a massive story could be unfolding here. Japanese bringing it forward again in their off-white shirts. Kamada's had an excellent tournament. Just exchanging passes with Hiroki Ito. Ball Threaded through the midfield for Nakamura, who made a run from out to win that time. I haven't seen him do that too often up to this point. Kamada's got it again. There's the long switch of play that they love. It's a square one. Out towards Doan. Now Nakamura will make his run in towards the far post. Doan tried to divert the ball in, couldn't find him. Brazil will try and bring it away, and there was a wave of a boot there from Kamada. He knew exactly what he was doing, couldn't let Brazil counter-attack, and he's picked up a yellow card. Yeah,
poor challenge. I mean, for probably the best part of 2 or 3 minutes there, Japan were making Brazil look second best at everything, and Japan were looking more like Brazil of the 1970s, to be fair, the way they were keeping the ball. And I'm looking at the Brazilians, the attitude, the heads, the movement, the options of teammates, and it's very, very static, in and out of possession at the moment, and they've been shaken, Jim.
They certainly have been shaken. 4 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. Ball inside the Japanese penalty area, well marshalled again by Taniguchi, a returning veteran. And the flag comes up, and it's going to be a goal kick. The confirmation of the 4 additional minutes. Carlo Ancelotti is going to have to go and have some stark words with some big egos inside that dressing room. They've got 15 minutes, Ancelotti and his son and Paul Clement, to try and get some kind of response out of Brazil, because they have lost their way since the Japanese took the lead. Japan will make their way forward again down this near touchline there, left play back towards Nakamura. Nakamura for Kamada. Kamada to Maeda. Back outside the penalty area. Kamada has it. Just trying to draw Ryan into making a challenge. Worked it down the left flank for Nakamura. Takes it down towards the corner flag. Checks, comes back out again for Daishi Kamada. Kamada back to Taniguchi. Sano, the goal scorer, to his right-hand side for Hiroki Ito. Tomiyasu playing it out towards Doan, but it was a poor pass. And it's out for a throw that Brazil will take near the edge of their own penalty area. 1-0 to Japan. 2.5 minutes to go to half-time. Lost on penalties to Paraguay in 2014. Lost on penalties to Croatia in 2022. They led 2-0 against Belgium in 2018 and lost before it even got to extra time. And they were beaten on home soil by Turkey in a knockout game in 2002. This would be the biggest day in their footballing history. And at the moment, you can make a real case for it happening.
You certainly can. As I say, they look every inch a team that are oozing confidence now, Japan, whilst the Brazilians have fallen away a little bit on their work rate. And, well, it just goes to show sometimes if you're prepared to outwork the opposition, you've got a team ethic about you, it will take you a long, long way.
Marquinhos chips the ball out of the left-hand side for Gabriel. Casemiro dropping deep again. When he received possession, he was the deepest of Brazil's outfield players. 90 seconds to go to the break. Brazil trailing by a goal to nil. Gabriel, make no bones about it, it won't be the biggest shock in World Cup history. It's a massive story, but there are lots of people here today who are more than happy to make a case for Japan winning this game. Well, we were speaking to many of them in the press room beforehand, saying that they felt that the makeup of this Japanese team was perfect to take on a side like Brazil. They haven't got the job done yet by any stretch of the imagination, but they've had a great start. Danilo, ball inside the Japanese penalty area, is headed away and then well brought down by Junior Ito, who then hammers it over his own shoulder to safety. Brazil pick it up again on halfway with Gabriel. Still time for one last first half attack. Crossfield ball, well met by Danilo coming to meet it. Japan getting possession back inside their own penalty area. Nakamura will clear. There's a Brazilian player down on the left-hand side of the penalty area as Japan try and get it forward. Ueda couldn't hold it up. And Brazil will pick it up at the back with Gabriel. Paquetá is back on his feet now, but hobbling away.
That's his race run, Jim. He wants off.
Well, Qatar might not be able to continue in the second half, and you just wonder whether Brazil's World Cup campaign is going to be continuing beyond this afternoon. This has been just like watching Brazil, but it's not the men in the yellow shirts that have caught the eye. Japan have been superb, great execution of the game plan, and the biggest win in their country's history might just be 45 minutes away. The good value for this half-time lead. The shock is very much on. This is no fluke. Half-time in Houston, Brazil 0, Japan 1.
Yeah, we've got a story on our hands here, all right, and I just want to pick up, Stuart Pearce, on what you just said there about Paquetá. You said he wants out. I mean, that's an interesting way of putting it. If he's injured, has to go off, then fair enough. But are you thinking that he's not up for the fight? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think he's injured. He copped a little injury early in the first half. I think he's got one there. He signalled to the bench that little rotation of the hands. I think. Yeah, as he's been talked to as he's walking off, the big limp's coming out.
Off, isn't it?
That's him done. For me, there's two substitutions. Paqueta's a false one. Casemiro's got to be another one because they're very exposed in that area of the pitch, as they were in the Morocco game that we saw. But
we talked about the midfield for Brazil. It is a huge weakness that Ancelotti really hasn't addressed, has he?
No, he certainly hasn't. If you're dominating the ball, it's a brilliant midfield. If you're not dominating the ball, this Japan side, their ethos is this. It's as simple as this. If we put a 10 by 10 grid down or a 15 by 15 grid down anywhere on the pitch, we need to have equal numbers or an extra player than them. To enable to do that, we've got to outwork them. And they've done exactly that. That's what they do. The ball goes into a wide area, you think, oh, there could be an overload. All of a sudden, Japanese players arrive. It's 2-on-2, it's 3-on-3, it's 4-on-3 and overload in the defensive team's favour. And they've just been magnificent. You can't, in the game plan, in a work rate, in everything that Japan have done, they've been magnificent. And I'm seeing Brazil go slowly and slowly down in their mentality to want to get back in this game.
Yeah, that's the thing. They started really well. You said in commentary that they've got a special moment in them, but you wouldn't say that by the end of the half. You were right. They were on top. They were having chances. Cunha came close. There was a save for a shot that might have been going wide anyway, but Brazil were on top and having some moments. But as it wore on, Japan got used to them and they got on top of them.
Yeah, exactly that. It was almost like a Rocky fight, you know, you're not so bad mentality, and they wore them down. They've got an inner confidence as a football team. I think the game we saw at Wembley, when everyone's criticising England for their performance getting beat by Japan at Wembley, I'll tell you what, when you look back, we might well have been beaten by a very good side that are going to go a long, long way in this World Cup campaign.
Let's talk about the goal then. Sloppy from Brazil in their own half. They gave the ball away. Sano strode forward, fired from outside of the box, and it went in. This is Alisson in goal. Can you attach any blame to him for it?
No, but I would attach blame to Casemiro. The ball was lost in their half, but they've still got 7 or 8 players behind the ball, the whole back line in slot. Your holding midfield player who's been put on that part of the pitch to stop things like that. As the ball was lost and Sano's picked it up, Casemiro's decided to go forward and engage him. And that made Sano's mind up to say, right, I'm just going to push it to one side of you and run past you. Then all of a sudden you're at the back line. The back line probably backed off too much. Gabriel in his own box maybe should have engaged outside the box. But you've got to say, having run from the halfway line to the edge of the box, a great finish at the end of it.
Sano had been booked. Possible red card? It was a poor challenge from him. I mean, I think there's been a high threshold, hasn't there, of this World Cup, and maybe that incident followed that.
Yeah, and I'm pleased, and I think you are as well. The fact that the threshold's not gone crazy, there's not been red cards in abundance, and the one thing that the pan spectator do not want is a team in this game to go a man down and the result be dictated to by that.
I think we are going to see probably Fabinho come on, but in terms of needing a goal, they've got a lot of attacking options, notably Neymar, Endrick as well. There's options for Brazil. Yes, Japan are 1-up and on top, but this isn't over.
No, there's no game in world football that's ever over, to be honest with you, especially 1-0 at half-time at knockout stage. but you do know Japan are not going to diminish. They're not going to be excited that they're a goal in front, and they'll keep grinding away, doing what makes them an outstandingly good team. And I tell you what, I keep talking about how good the team are, eh? You can't lose track of the fact they've got some outstanding individuals in their ranks as well. Maybe not the household name of Neymar Jr. and, you know, Vinicius and whatever, but this team, based on a team ethic, have got some really good international players that know how to look after the ball and know what's needed to win a game.
You've given us the eye-testing commentary in that first half and in this half-time analysis. If we look at the stats, Stuart, they're very clearly in Brazil's favour. 2 touches in the opposition box for Japan, but then they don't need to be in the opposition box to score.
Well, exactly. Listen, the beauty of it is, as Jim mentioned, Japan say, if you want the ball and we can't get it off you, we don't mind. But I tell you what, we're going to be behind the ball and we're going to overload in all areas of the pitch or equal numbers, and you ain't going to get past us or get a cheap goal. And that's what they're good at.
But if you'd said to the Japanese coach Moriyasu before the game what the statistics would look like at half-time, he would have taken it. It doesn't matter. It's part of the way that they execute their game plan. They're not all about touches in the opposition penalty area. They're not about possession. They have a lead now. They've got Brazil rattled. It is perfect for them. They've been magnificent. After a slow start for the first 8-10 minutes, they've been absolutely magnificent. They will not be fazed by anything you can throw at them here now. They might not necessarily be able to hold on, but they're not going to be fazed by the statistics and the fact that Brazil have had more opportunities, because the opportunities that are coming in are low-quality ones.
I can't pinpoint an area of the pitch where I think they're isolating this player and a goal might come from it one-on-one, because they've even dealt with Vinicius Jr. one-on-one pretty well, you know. It's rarely happened because they got numbers there and an extra body there, but I don't see a Brazilian that's got the beating of a Japanese backline defender at this moment in time.
Indeed, the stats are interesting, but if you look at the stats, that's exactly what Japan do, and they could be heading through. They are heading through as things stand. Most significantly, Brazil, as things stand, are heading out of the World Cup. You're listening to World Cup Game Day Live on TalkSport, brought to you by Enterprise Rent Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Position with the Real Madrid striker through the middle. It could go 4-4-2, although that would appear to be footballing suicide, having two central midfielders, with Casemiro being one of them on a yellow card against this Japanese team. But Endrick on for Paquetá at the start of the second half. We're back underway. Zion Suzuki getting it forward for Japan in their off-white shirts, black shorts, kicking from left to right and trying to protect a 29th minute lead that has been given to them by Sano. If they can, they are through to the round of 16. Brazil bring it forward immediately. Little layoff. Back through the midfield for Endrick. Spencer's with the ball to his left. Vinicius clipping it in deep towards the far post. Easily claimed again by Zion Suzuki. Well, we've seen a bit of Endrick in the past. He came on and scored the winner as a 17-year-old for Brazil against England at Wembley a couple of years ago. The youngest Brazilian player in 57 years. Seen about 40 minutes of World Cup action so far, with a 10-minute cameo against the Scots and a bit longer against Haiti. Japan trying to thread the ball forward with Nakamura on the left-hand side of the penalty area here. Swung in deeper towards the far post. Doan can't bring it down. Brazil will be able to knock it away. It goes out of play eventually for a throw that will be taken on the Brazilian left-hand side. Well, Paquetá was bound to come off. Endrick on for him, not necessarily the change we were anticipating, and Casemiro still being out there. We weren't anticipating either, Stu.
No, we weren't. Certainly Paquetá coming off. I'm surprised that Casemiro's still out there. But I think these first 10 minutes or so of this half will dictate the whole of the half, if truth be known, and Brazil need to get a foothold in this game.
Well, they've kept the same shape at the moment. Cunha has dropped into Paquetá's position in the midfield. Endrick playing through the middle. A free kick given to Brazil for handball on halfway. And the clock will be ticking down pretty quickly for the Canarinho supporters. Two big pockets of blue shirts here in Houston, away to our right-hand side. One immediately behind the goal that Alisson is defending, and one on the third tier, which just swings away round under the giant scoreboards. Everywhere else you look, they're wanting Brazil to win. Vinicius, right-footed ball inside the Japanese penalty area. Is going to be able to bring it away. Good strong running from him, and again they're taking matters into their own hands. There'll be a yellow card for the retreating defender, as Maeda just threatened to outpace the right back Danilo, who took matters into his own hands, pushed him to the ground, and he is booked. Yeah,
Danilo just put his right arm on the shoulder and into the left ear of the Japanese advancing player, and that was enough to draw a booking.
Tomiyasu from the free kick for Japan. Plays to his right-hand side for Junya Ito. Now Sano. Now to Hiroki Ito. Nakamura, the left wing-back, retreats. Maeda makes a run out of the touchline behind him, but Japan just play the way that they're facing. They're lining up Zion Suzuki in goal. Tomiyasu, Taniguchi and Hiroki Ito. Doan Sano, the goal scorer. Kamada and Nakamura. And then Junya Ito and Maeda behind Ueda. Brazil, Alisson in goal. Danilo, Marquinhos, Gabriel and Douglas Santos. And now in midfield is Bruno Guimaraes, Casemiro and Cunha. And Ryan, Endrick and Vinicius are the front three, with Lucas Paquetá going off injured at half-time to be replaced by Endrick, who Real Madrid found out on loan to Lyon this season. He got 8 goals in a relatively unproductive campaign. His country need him here as he wins his 20th cap. Zion Suzuki, the Japanese goalkeeper, is actually born in Arkansas. Plays the ball forward. Low one across the deck. Japan doing well in the midfield. He can't find a way past the on-rushing Bruno Guimaraes. And then as it's threaded inside the Japanese penalty area, Endrick can't make the right run. And Suzuki comes out and claims it. 1-0 Japan here on Talk Sport, 4.5 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, the game looks as though it's getting a little bit spread, even at these early stages.
Alisson gets it away. Picked up by Sano in the midfield. Down from him to The right-hand side for Rich Doan, who turns it forward. Last time that Brazil were behind in a knockout match in the World Cup and came back to win it was back in 1978. So there's plenty of work to do here. Signs at the moment that the 24-year drought in the World Cup is going to be extended further. Remember, they have never gone out of the World Cup as early as this, and never been out when there've still been more than 16 teams left in it. Lovely turn in the midfield by Maeda. It looks as though it had run away from Ueda. He was shoved to the floor. Referee says play on. Japan half clear it, but Brazil will get it forward again down the left-hand side for Vinicius. Vinicius running at Doan, who's forced him down towards the corner flag, but he hasn't got it back. Vinicius has it again. Pull back to the edge of the penalty area here for Bruno Guimaraes. Brazil looking for an equaliser in Houston. Gabriel coming forward onto it. Back for Bruno Guimaraes again. He opens up his body and hits it right-footed forward towards Casemiro. Back immediately to Marquinhos. Marquinhos to Danilo. Gabriel of Arsenal clipping it in, left-footed. It was overhit, handed away anyway by Hiroki Ito for a throw that Brazil will take near halfway. Plenty of good territorial advantage from Ancelotti's men in this second half, but they're not doing anything with it at the moment.
No, and probably their best couple of chances to exert some pressure have come from Japan being in possession of the ball and looking very comfortable and a little bit arrogant on the ball and lost possession.
Vinicius, 1-2 between him and Bruno Guimaraes, worked out towards Danilo, right-footed ball in from him, good save from Suzuki from a flying header which he threw himself to his left-hand side and was able to beat it away. It was a better move. Bruno Guimaraes 15 yards out, powering a header, couldn't get it in towards the corner. Suzuki dived to his left, tips it away, and last a bit of life in this Brazilian team.
Yeah, what a super ball in there, and Guimaraes was the one on the move, good contact, but this goalkeeper's reputation is growing and growing at this tournament.
Vinicius, Cunha lets it run, in behind him Danilo, they'll try the same again, deep towards Vinicius, Doan backpedaling, heads it away. Junior Ito can't bring it any further clear. Bruno Guimaraes with another opportunity as Brazil slowly beginning to go up through the gears and look a little bit more threatening. Vinicius getting towards the byline. Low skinning ball in from him, turned towards goal but not particularly comfortably by Endrick, and it's half cleared. But they'll come again, and Japan for the first time know that they're really in a game. Just being pushed back towards the ropes here rather than being on them. Gabriel to Douglas Santos. There's ball in towards the penalty spot. Another diving headed clearance comes from the excellent Taniguchi. Brazil 0, Japan 1 here in Houston on TalkSport. The shock is on, but Brazil giving their supporters a little bit more hope at the beginning of this second half. Ryan with the ball, swept in. Oh, Suzuki's lost it and somehow got back and was able to beat it away with his hand. And now Japan will break 5 against 3. Massive let off from at one end, pushing forward at the other. High ball sent in from Nakamura. Right-footed cross just takes a nick off a Brazilian defender. Japan have a corner. Brazil nearly had an equaliser. It's a half with everything already.
That is an understatement. Brazil tossing the ball in the box. It was, well, who was that? Tomiyasu it was, on the goal line, behind his goalkeeper. It's hit him square on the chest, it's come out, and then it's hit him again as it's come back in off his goalkeeper. They've cleared it, and, well, they broke, as you say, 5 on 3. An incredible phase of play.
Ball swung in, Casemiro at point-blank range, 6 yards out, heads it towards goal. Tomiyasu knows nothing about it, just happens to be in the right place. Goalkeeper is stranded, but his reactions are so quick. He then comes back, stops it hitting Tomiyasu and going in off the post, flicks it back into Tomiyasu, and it breaks kindly for Japan, who can clear and then almost set up a counter-attack. VAR had a look at it, decided it was a goal kick, not a corner. So Brazil, from their resulting goal kick, bring it forward here. Bruno Guimaraes with the ball inside the box. Doan forced to take a touch, facing the wrong way. Does get it clear, almost into the Brazilian dugout. But they're really building up a head of steam now as they search the equaliser.
Yeah, they certainly are. They might not be able to beat people out wide, but what they're doing, Jim, is getting out of their feet and tonking it in the box. And they're getting big numbers in the box as well.
They've got it again with Marquinhos. Marquinhos' ball out of the Brazilian right. Swung in left-footed, heads going up for it. It will take a nick on its way through down towards the corner flag. Vinicius pulls it back, left-footed, swung in deep, headed towards goal, and in there is the equalising goal, which has been covered. Casemiro's had such an inauspicious afternoon, but he's conjured up a big moment for his country there. They are back in this, and 2 minutes after it had one cleared off the line, they're able to find him at the far post, and he's powered a header in past Zion Suzuki to make it 1-1, and Brazil live to fight another day.
Well, the Brazilians have turned round and said, you know what, we can't play through this team, so we're just going to get it in wide areas and we're going to put it in the box. Jim, they must have had maybe 8 crosses in already this half and got players on the end of it. Nearly scored a moment ago, but Casemiro, the holding midfield player, is the furthest man up the pitch. And I think they'll be looking at this, just checking it's not offside. He's right on the back line as far as you can go.
Well, it's a great header. He's beaten Suzuki with power. The VAR will be having a look at it just to ensure that he hasn't got there from an offside position. Now the referee is giving a signal over to the fourth official here. He wants a new match ball. And all the signs are that the goal is going to count. Still waiting for official confirmation. The Japanese player's looking up at the big screen. But it does count, and it is 1-1. Well, Brazil have had a life in this game, but now will they be able to build on parity and see it through? 1-1 the score here in Houston. They've trailed for 27 minutes, but it's level again.
Well, it just goes to show in football, you looked at the lineup of this Brazilian team and you think talent, ability to take the ball, play the ball. In the end, they've almost got that game plan, thrown it out the window and said, I'll tell you what, tonk it in the box and let's compete for the header. Very Brazilian.
Absolutely. 10 Brazilian crosses in this second half so far. They're on the back foot again here. Japan bring it forward. Have they won a free kick? They haven't. Maeda went down in the D. Brazil will bring it away. It's all Brazil. Oh, Vinicius, delicious touch. He's nutmegged Tomiyasu, taking it on the half volley. He's come forward. It's on his right foot, his left. He's scooted towards goal. It's flicked onto the post. Japan will bring it away. And then Brazil come onto it far over the bar. It was a moment of mercurial majesty from the little magician. And he's been denied by an outstanding save from Zion Suzuki. But it would have been one of the great World Cup goals.
Well, Tomiyasu just overcommitted, and then from that moment onwards it put Vinicius Jr. on forward momentum. He's taken 2 or 3 on in the box, and Suzuki's got a hand on it and pushed it on the post. And I tell you what, he has been outstanding for Japan. Not had a lot to do, but when he's had to be called into process, he's been brilliant.
He's a tremendous goalkeeper. Playing his club football in Serie A with Parma. Has missed a lot of this season through injury. If you were a Premier League team, you'd rush out and get him. They've just shown the semi-automated freeze on the big screen of the Casemiro goal, and he was about 1.5 foot onside. Japan trying to get it forward quickly. Been able to get it out to the right-hand side for Ueda. Ueda to Rich Doan. Doan's ball in. Ueda took it off the toes of Ito in behind him. Had he had a shout there, he might have left it, and Ito would have been able to get a shot in. Ueda picked it up, and he then couldn't turn and keep the ball at his feet. And it runs through for Alisson. What a game this is. Could pay it no higher a compliment than to say it's even better than we thought it was going to be, and we could not wait for it. Live in Houston, on TalkSport, Brazil 1, Japan 1, we played an hour.
I'll tell you what, I don't know whether it's a tactical approach. You've got to give Ancelotti a lot of credit, potentially. They've tried to play through. They run aground in the first half, Brazil. Second half, it's as though just get it out wide, get numbers in the box and cross it in the box. It's a little bit agricultural, but it's difficult to defend, and it's bore fruit at this moment in time, but a long way to go.
Listeners, we've often said, one of the oldest adages in World Cup football, no matter how you do it, all that matters is that you're in the next tie. Ivory Coast and Norway will be watching this one. The match between the winners of that and the winners of this will take place in New Jersey, live on TalkSport on Sunday. And then the winners of that tie would play the winners of the last 16 tie in England's section of the draw, which could be England if they can get past DR Congo and then Mexico. And the first of those ties against the Congolese is in Atlanta. It's at high noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. your time on Wednesday. This one 1-1, 14 attempts to 4 in Brazil's favour, 6 shots on target to 1. The Japanese shot on target being their goal, scored by the man in possession now, Keishu Sano. Back from him to Taniguchi, down to Tomiyasu. And we could yet have an hour left of this, because it's got extra time written all over it at the moment if Japan can just solidify defensively.
What Brazil can't afford to do is drop off and attempt to play their way through once again. Yes, if it's on to do so, do it, but they've looked a real threat to score a goal by just getting it wide and tossing it in the box.
Japan will bring it forward here. Allison's out of his 6-yard box quickly enough, throws himself at the feet of Maeda and is able to make the save. Very few signs of a second Japanese goal at the moment, but they are at their most dangerous, as we've repeatedly said, when they haven't got possession, but they can spring a transition in and around halfway. That's how the goal came about, with a mistake by Casemiro, who then couldn't recover, and Sano fired the ball past the retreating Gabriel past Alisson. Equalising goal coming from a Casemiro header after Brazil had tossed 10 crosses inside the Japanese penalty area in the opening 10 minutes of the second half. Alisson waiting here and almost succumbing to the press as he just tried to clip the ball forward, and it hit Maeda, bounced high up in the air. Brazil get lucky, they bring it away. Vinicius, who's had a shot tipped onto the post after a magnificent driving run. That would have put Brazil 2-1 up. Bruno Guimaraes has it. He's gone square to his right-hand side. Out for Danilo. Coming forward is Cunha. Cunha to Ryan, trying to find a way inside the penalty area. The tall teenager laying it back. Getting it back then from Cunha. Ryan again, left foot, he's done well, digs his foot underneath the ball. Suzuki comes out and catches it. Nobody in an advanced position, so he'll use the full 8 seconds before dispensing with the ball, and it's 1-1 in a thriller with 18 minutes gone in the second half.
Yeah, another really good ball in the box eventually there, and Suzuki's got to play a big part in this if he can come and bail his back line out when that ball comes in. But those stats are incredible. 10 crosses, and what are we on at the moment? 63 minutes, and you can probably say we haven't had a cross for 5 minutes or so. Incredible how Brazil have come out and changed that tactical approach.
Well, it was 10 crosses in the first 10 minutes of the second half, after only 12 in the entire first 45 minutes from Brazil, which shows you how they have changed the game plan. Japan playing the ball forward here, and it's a good run from Ueda, who's got him behind the back line. The pass is forced him wide. Ueda firing one in, spilled by Alisson, who's able to recover and stop it going out of play after it's come off his chest, and he's prevented the corner.
Ueda's done brilliant there. He spun off for Casemiro into a wide area. Casemiro returned to slot, and then it was just one-on-one with Casemiro. He should really be taking him on again, I think.
This Japanese team have only lost 2 games since February 2024. Beaten by the States in a friendly, by Australia in a World Cup qualifier in Perth. In fact, they struggled against the Aussies in qualifying, only took 1 point from the 2 games against them. but they've won 20 of their last 27 all in. 1-1 here. There's some action on the respective benches. I think Japan are going to make at least a double change. It looks as though the Southampton defender Sugawara is amongst those that's going to be coming on. Brazil have got it. Dead level here on TalkSport after Casemiro's equaliser some 7 minutes or so ago. Brazilians led with the edge of the Japanese penalty area, pull the ball back. There's space for the retreating Cunha, who's in a deeper position in this second half. Didn't get the pass, and there was an immediate post-mortem about that. Ball inside the penalty area comes to the left back Douglas Santos, and it's cleared. Japan put it out of play. The Brazilians are going to be bringing Gabriel Martinelli on, and he'll replace Cunha.
See, there was a perfect opportunity once again for Brazil. All of a sudden they've got this goal and they think they can return to the beautiful game almost. They're better off just keep tossing that ball in the box, because that was causing absolute mayhem at the start of this half, and that's where the goals come from.
Well, here's a surprise, because Nakamura's coming off and Sugawara comes on to replace him. They're also going to be bringing on Yusuke Suzuki, who came on for the final 20 minutes against Tunisia. He's centre-half, and he's coming on as well. Just wonder whether the Japanese are potentially going to change shape to a back four here, or whether they will play Yusuke Suzuki at left wing-back. Here come Brazil, bringing it forward again. The two players coming off, Doan and Nakamura. So the two wing-backs replaced. Japan still with a back five at the moment. Brazil have got it. The hydration break is just 90 seconds or so away in this second half. 1-1. Sano with the first half goal for Japan, cancelled out by Casemiro 11 minutes into the second half for Brazil. Vinicius has then had a shot after a magnificent run tipped onto the post. And Brazil will bring it forward again to the edge of the penalty area. An opportunity to try and take on Suzuki. And it's cleared. I think part of the thinking probably, Stu, is that they've ceded so much possession to Brazil in this second half, and there's so many balls coming in from out wide that they want orthodox fullbacks playing there, or defenders, rather than the wing-backs who are in a Moriya's side always much more attacking. They are wingers who are playing as wing-backs as opposed to defenders who are playing as wing-backs, but that's been addressed now. Brazil coming forward again. Can't block this cross, it's headed away easily. So Japan setting out their stall to sit back and defend. 67 gone, 1-1 here in Houston, and the most important moment of an extraordinarily dramatic afternoon still lies ahead of us here on TalkSport. Ball is scooped forward by Martinelli, now by Gabriel, his Arsenal teammate. Defensive header after Endrick was lent into inside the penalty area, but the referee says there's no case to answer for Tomiyasu, and Japan will clear, and the ball goes out of play for a throw. And that'll be the hydration break with the midway stage of the second half upon us. 1-1, Stu. It is a fascinating encounter.
Yeah, it certainly is. As I say, at half-time, the change was made for Brazil. Endrick come on, but more importantly, they've changed their tactical approach, Brazil, to get themselves back in the game. I think they've changed that again. They've not stopped tossing the ball in the box and getting big numbers in the box. They were almost playing sort of hell for leather from half-time onwards. I still think they've got to do that, because they've been very, very effective just tossing the ball in the box and getting the likes of Casemiro advanced and various other players in the box.
Well, Japan were halfway there. Brazil living on a prayer at one stage, but 1-1 now after the changes in personnel and tactics from Carlo Ancelotti. And let me remind you what's to come. Germany against Paraguay's got a lot to live up to after this, and the German game against Ecuador in New Jersey the other day. 9:30 that kicks off tonight here on TalkSport, and then overnight it's the Netherlands against Morocco, a 2 a.m. start. Now tomorrow we'll find out who the winners of this game play as the Ivorians face Norway at 6 o'clock your time on the great TalkSport, followed by France-Sweden at 10. And a reminder, as if you needed a reminder, England playing DR Congo in the round of 32 in Atlanta, and that is a noon kickoff Eastern time, 5 p.m. tea time Wednesday, live on Talk Sport. We got plenty more besides, of course, and let me point in the direction of the TalkSport YouTube channel for so much content there. Our TalkSport Daily podcast, all the usual places, including the TalkSport app, will reflect on everything that's happened in the second day of the knockouts and look ahead as well to that game between England and the Congolese on Wednesday. New episode every day, and it's available when you're on your morning commute, when you wake up on Talk Sport. So the Japanese players still in a huddle. They go in a huddle whenever they concede a goal as well. They go in a huddle. They have an immediate post-mortem and little team talk out on the pitch. There's no remonstration of the Japanese way. It's just a question of refocusing and resetting and working out what they need to do. Just going through that process again now. The Brazilians away to our left-hand side, just getting ready for the signal to restart the game. What needs to change from a Japanese perspective now to try and get the momentum back in this game that they have lost since half-time?
Yeah, the one thing that's got to change, if they can, stop the supply line of crosses coming in the box from Brazil, because that's where they look very threatening. But you've also got to strip it back as well and say, look, we're in the game. It's 1-1. The game plan's going quite well for us. Brazil have still got plenty of the ball, but just keep playing the way we are. Keep stopping the crossing. Let Brazil recycle the ball and keep it. That doesn't hurt us. And when those moments come of counter-attack, like we saw with a 5-on-3 earlier, Jim, that's when they've got to spring the attacks.
So we're back underway. Brazil in their wonderful yellow shirts, blue shorts, white socks, and Japan in off-white shirts with black shorts and socks. Brazil kicking from right to left towards the end of the ground that is just a wall of canary yellow at the moment. They've lost possession. Japan able to bring the ball forward. Looks as though Junya Ito was fouled. Then as he got back to his feet, he couldn't regain an advantage, so the referee has pulled it back for the offence by Martinelli, and a free kick is taken quickly by his former Arsenal teammate Tomiyasu. Plays it over the halfway line for Daichi Kamada. Only 3 times in their history have Japan ever led against Brazil. Done so in both of the World Cup ties. Last time they faced each other in the World Cup 20 years ago, they scored first that day, lost 4-1. Will they be able to yet write an enormous story here? Seal their first ever knockout win in the World Cup. Or is it going to be an early knockout stage elimination yet again, which is always the way? Them and the Swiss. Set your clocks by it, ordinarily. Brazil, on the ball out to the left of Vinicius. Running at the Japanese back 5. He's been shown inside again, which is often dangerous, but it was a poor ball in, and Yosuke Suzuki can clear. It's out towards halfway where Gabriel then taps it forward. Casemiro still on the field. The Brazilian hero in the second after being the villain in the first. Martinelli in a very unaccustomed role from where we're used to seeing him play, playing on the left of a midfield 3 at the moment. See plenty of the ball, the number 22. Now it goes out to the right-hand side once more. Space for Danilo making his way forward. But Vinicius is the pass that's been played. Laid back by him. Left-footed. Swept in high. Header at the far post. Takes a deflection. Surely Ryan it was that met it. And it's hit the nearest Japanese defender. His block goes behind for a corner.
See, for all the good football Brazil have, their best chances have come by just getting it out wide and putting the ball in the box. And Gabriel, once again, got a lovely feel for the ball with his left foot. Just puts a bit of curl on it, away from the goalkeeper. Suzuki can't come, and then just get numbers in at the far post.
Nearly everybody forward for Brazil for this corner, which is their first of the second half, and it's just put onto the head of Junya Ito. They've had 3 corners so far, and 2 of them have been like that. Far too low, and headed away by Ito, who's given the free roll of just trying to get his head to it inside the penalty area in that near post area. So Brazil now will, in a deeper position, bring it forward again. You can hear the cries, the growing cacophony of noise from the Brazilian supporters wanting the introduction of the talismanic Neymar. He's just been left in cotton wool at the moment. Marquinhos to Gabriel. Gabriel out to the Brazilian left. Play back by Vinicius. Gabriel to Marquinhos, has to stretch to bring a slightly loose pass under control. Well, then by Marquinhos down towards Gavin Martinelli. Martinelli swinging it towards the edge of the Japanese penalty area, but got the angle wrong, and Maeda was able to get it away. Martinelli with a little step over in the midfield. This allows the ball to run across his body and change the line of attack. Plays it to Vinicius, whose first time ball goes straight back for Gabriel. From him to Marquinhos, out to the right flank. Still Brazil, building patiently, slowly, stringing the passes together here without really being able to play anything particularly perceptive.
I think, Jim, that they've not worked out what's made them an effective side in this match, and that is just keep rotating the ball from side to side, set it back to the likes of Gabriel to fade the ball in the box.
Still Brazil in and around the halfway line, having good possession with Vinicius. Good ball forward from him. Hendrick comes to meet it, and then after a good first touch where he controlled it on the turn with his thigh, he's put far too much on a ball forward, which rolls all the way through to Zion Suzuki. 15 minutes to go. What are what's your gut feeling? I hate putting you on the spot, but it's not going to stop me doing it. You think this is going to extra time, or can you see a winner for either side over the next 20 minutes of football?
I would probably edge more on this going to extra time, but just depends whether Japan can get that opportunity to counter-attack, or Brazil go back to the tried and trusted, get it out wide and put it in the box. If they don't and attempt to keep passing and building slowly like this, I think Japan are quite comfortable in their defensive work.
They have been able to restrict the balls in from wider positions since they made those defensive changes, took the wing backs off and replaced them with Sugawara and Yusuke Suzuki, who are much more defensive minded players. But they've got a cross to deal with here. Incoming Douglas Santos, and it's headed away at the near post by Taniguchi, and Martinelli cutting across it. Who's an arse from the crowd, but we had the perfect angle to see that he started it wide and was always going to be curling further away. 1-1, 13 minutes of normal time to go here in Houston, Texas on TalkSport.
Yeah, as I say, you've got to handle where you are at the moment in certain elements of the game. The team that do that will be the strongest, there's no doubt, and come out probably victors. But Brazil got to understand that putting the ball in the box and potentially smuggling Casemiro into advanced positions will be fruitful to them.
Another change made by Japan, and it's another straight swap in the heart of midfield. Kamada off and Tanaka is on, and Junya Ito will be replaced by Shuta Machino, who plays his club football for Borussia Mönchengladbach. He wasn't in the initial squad, replaced the injured Wataru Endo. And he's a striker. He hasn't seen any World Cup action so far. He's on for his World Cup debut with 12 minutes to go. Wearing 6, but he will play as an inside forward for Japan. Just wonder, do you think they might have changed the shape as a result of those?
Well, as we stand at the moment, it looks like that, but I'm not sure. No, I think they're keeping the 5 in slot, Jim.
Sano, their goal scorer, heading the ball forward. A defensive header turned by Casemiro back for Alisson, who catches it and then bowls it out. 11 to go. Brazil building from inside their own half here with Casemiro. Long ball forward from him. Be chased by Hendrick and Ryan. It was Ryan that came the closest to it, making a diagonal run from the right wing, but it's drifted over him and gone out of play. It's not a sellout here, or they're claiming a full house. 68,777 is the crowd, and they've all been thoroughly riveted by it. Still don't know which way this game's going to go. 1-1 at the moment. Brazil looking the more likely, having been up against it at half-time. Carlo Ancelotti has been able to transform their fortunes, and they're on the front foot here again with Endrick. He's run down a blind alley, knocked away by Tanaka of Leeds United for Japan. Now towards the Brazilian right, Ryan has lost it. The Japanese putting their foot on the ball with Maeda, and then Yusuke Suzuki wins a throw, which they'll be in no hurry to take midway inside their own half. I say they'll be in no hurry to take it. Of course, they don't get very long these days. We saw it in the England-Panama game that one of the England players had a 5-second count and didn't throw the ball back on in time and lost possession, which confused everybody. It's still something that nobody is at all used to. Japan restarting play on their left flank, very quickly work it down towards the right-hand side. Machino comes to meet the ball that was played through. He couldn't get there. As an acknowledgement by Ueda, it was a poor pass.
I would say at this moment in time, it looks like Brazil in the ascendancy, but you can never write this Japanese side off, can you? Because they're so used to seeding the ball.
Well, they've already bounced back to save the game once in this tournament that you and I were at in Dallas, across Texas from here, against the Dutch, where they were 2-1 down with a couple of minutes to go and forced an equaliser in that game, although I don't think Ronald Koeman's thought process that day will be replicated here by Carlo Ancelotti, protecting the lead. Koeman just put so many bodies behind the ball, changed to a back five, and the Japanese were forced to come out and created chances and scored an equalising goal. It's not going to go that way here. 1-1 the score. And we've got 9 minutes of normal time to go. Extra time on the agenda if necessary, of course. Vinicius is in possession on the Brazilian left. You're with Talk Sport in a thriller in Houston. Great defending from one of the Japanese centre-halves. A little backheel flick away. Sugawara, actually, the right-back that got it clear with a backheel flick that taken away from Vinicius. Sugawara, the Southampton man who spent the season on loan in the Bundesliga with Werder Bremen. That was good defending from the substitute, but it's going to come in again here from Gabriel. Diving headed clearance from Taniguchi. Now Marquinhos. Out of the Brazilian right for Ryan. Marquinhos gets it back again. Brazil with Martinelli in the heart of the midfield. Still really strange to see him in the role that he's been asked to fulfill here. Vinicius' crossfield ball, chested down on the Brazilian right by the fullback Danilo, who's playing high and wide now. Every opportunity to try and get the ball in, but the Japanese, to their credit, have been able to stem the frequent flow of deliveries from wide positions in the last 15 minutes. And as Stu's been outlining perfectly, it's been so much easier to defend balls that have been played in from deeper areas. Martinelli sends one in here that misses everybody, and it goes out of play for a goal kick that Zion Suzuki will take. Japanese fans away to our right in great spirits because they're 7 minutes away from taking this to extra time.
Yeah, and this is going to end up being a game of attrition, that is for sure. Which one of these two teams can take the opportunity when it comes? And it looks more and more likely extra time is upon us.
And it's difficult when you've got Neymar to bring off the bench. It's difficult to manage his workload, knowing that the game could go to extra time. So ideally, if this was a 90-minute match, Ancelotti would already have brought him on, I'm sure about that, but he can't yet, because he just doesn't know how long he's going to get out of him. Could he get 50 minutes of play out of him, which is his situation would be if he would have come on now. Sliding challenge was a well-timed one over on the right-hand side of the box. The referee doesn't agree. He's produced a yellow card. Yusuke Suzuki has given this free kick away, and it's 2 yards from the right-hand edge of the penalty area, 16 yards from the dead ball line, and another opportunity for Brazil to work the ball in here for the aerial targets, including the centre-halves who are making their ways forward.
Yeah, late challenge there. He was at full stretch to try and keep up and with Danilo, but just couldn't. And a great opportunity from this situation. Casemiro, a real threat.
One in the wall. By the time the ball has been spotted down, it's probably a slightly better angle for Brazil. It's pretty much on the corner of the box. So Japan, as you would expect, have got everybody back. They've got one defender near the penalty spot. They've got two in the wall now. And the other 7 outfield players are standing in a line 10 yards from goal. It's a completely vacant 6-yard box with the exception of Zion Suzuki, the Japanese goalkeeper. Brazilian players are going to be making varying runs here into that space. Gabriel is in there. Marquinhos is in there, and it was a flick header over the bar. Hit in with pace. And it might go down as good defending. I think a corner has been given as they try to get Danilo and Ryan across the face of the goalkeeper. It was hit in really briskly. An excellent ball in from Ryan. Danilo coming to meet it. Well defended by Suzuki, who just got the top of his head to it to put it out of play for a corner. So corner that'll be taken on the Brazilian right. It's their 4th of the day. 1-1 the scoreline. 5 to go. Marquinhos preparing to try and make a near post run by the look of it. It's in towards that little near post area where it was flicked on by Bruno Guimaraes. Japan half clear, back out towards Vinicius, outside the penalty area, coming forward in the box now. It's a Brazilian player lying down, hurt inside the penalty area as the cross is scooped in by Bruno Guimaraes. He's got the angle wrong, afflicted past everybody, and it's gone out of play for a goal kick. Meanwhile, Martinelli is still down, holding his face. It's his nose and left eye, I think, that has borne the brunt of a flailing arm from Maeda. And he's going to need a little bit of treatment. 1-1 with 86 gone. Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, as I say, the ball come to Vinicius Junior there. He's outside the box. They're just trying to recycle a corner that's been cleared, and he's just not worked out that, look, all you need from me at this moment in time is one touch, put it back in the danger zone again.
Well, the referee is in consultation with Martinelli, who has indicated quite clearly by moving his left arm back that he felt that he was deliberately elbowed there by Maeda, and he's clearly asking the question about whether the VAR has inspected the incident. Martinelli doesn't need any treatment, but the goal kick will be taken not by the goalkeeper Suzuki, but by the left back Suzuki, who finds his goalkeeper, and then it's cleared forward towards halfway. Machino with a good header can find Ueda in a little bit of space. Now Japan will work it full goal here, and Brazil are in desperate trouble. Maeda pulling the ball back. Machino. In behind him is Sugawara, the Southampton man, getting it forward here for Sano. Down to the edge of the penalty area again. Machino with a poor cross. Didn't have the height behind it. Brazil had everybody back. Looked to try and hit on the counter. Might yet be able to after turning over possession in the midfield. After the second phase of play, Hendrick sends it forward. Zion Suzuki comes out and sweeps up. He's on his bike out of the penalty area really quickly, Suzuki. And it's out of play for a throw, which is taken with 3 minutes to go. 1-1 the score between Brazil and Japan in a wonderful World Cup game. Casemiro, who was at fault for the first goal and then scored the equaliser. Brazil's number 5 plays it back for Marquinhos. Out to the figure of Danilo over on the right. He's laid it back. Plenty of bodies forward here for Brazil. Japan keeping a disciplined shape, very much 5-4-1 when they haven't got the ball, which is, let's face it, most of the time. The possession at the moment is 62-38, but in the last 10-15 minutes, Brazil's advantage of the ball has been much greater than that, and they've won another free kick. Some tired defending from Yusuke Suzuki. Has to be careful because there's another agricultural challenge. Both hands up to block the Brazilian run. He's already got a yellow card. He's now given another free kick away.
Yeah, poor challenge by him, to be honest with you. Went to ground slightly earlier. Now on that occasion should be doing a lot better.
In comes the free kick. Marquinhos going up for it. Zion Suzuki came out and punched it away. Vinicius opens up the angle, right-footed, deflecting, goes wide, out for another corner. Brazil asking the questions with 90 seconds to go in the 90 minutes.
Once again, another great ball into the box. And every time that ball comes in the box, you think something might come of it. It's Brazil's best opportunity of scoring.
Corner taken short, over on the Brazilian right. He's left-footed, swung inside the penalty area. First contact from a Brazilian player, goes back out of the penalty area to Martinelli. Now the men in yellow work it down for Vinicius, twisting and turning and impossible to shake out of possession at the moment. He's got options around him, he saw them, and then Trying to beat one of the Japanese players for a fourth time and eventually lost possession. Japan bring it away. Tanaka has fouled him. Number 7 with a challenge on the other. Free kick. We're in the 90th minute. Swung in by Vinicius. Out comes Zion Suzuki and makes a comfortable claim and then bowls it out. We might get a rare Japanese opportunity on the counter-attack. Ueda showing Machino where he wants the ball to be played. Crossfield ball down towards the right-hand side is picking out Sugawara. Instead, Sugawara stepping around his man, gets to the byline. Right-footed, he's played the ball back inside the penalty area where it's half cleared. Comes out for Ao Tanaka. Tanaka laying it back for Japan inside the centre circle. Several of these Brazilian players have hardly been in their penalty area in the second half. They're all in there now. Low ball in towards the near post looking for Machino. He's cleared. It goes out of play, and how many extra minutes are we going to get before extra time? 6. So 6 minutes for either side to win it without extras. 1-1 the score. And the Japanese have it. Possession inside their own half here.
And as Casemiro's just gone down in his own box, whether that's a bit of some fatigue or there's an injury there, time will tell. He's not moving in any way, shape or form. I've got a feeling there's a problem here.
Well, they're going to replace him, I think, straight away with Fabinho. And the former Liverpool man is stripped off and ready for action. He hasn't made a competitive start for Brazil since the World Cup defeat at Cameroon back in 2022. Got 25 minutes against Scotland, 45 minutes against Morocco, having come on as a half-time sub for Casemiro, and he's going to replace the former Manchester United man again here. So still 6 minutes to be added once play restarts. It's just drawing out the drama yet further here on TalkSport. A sensational game, so enjoyable. And still, we don't know who it is that's going to be going through. You'd have to lean towards Brazil, but Japan have been steadfast. They put all their eggs in the defensive basket. I think if Brazil score the next goal, even if it's in extra time, it'll be hard to make a case for Japan coming back. It's not in their nature to be able to chase games necessarily, even though they came back from 2 down to beat Brazil earlier this season. Casemiro coming off here, and Fabinho will replace him, so we're going to end up with probably the best part of 8 minutes of added time. He's coming off as quickly as he can, which isn't particularly quickly.
No, he went down on the penalty spot, and you would have thought naturally you would just walk off behind the goal, but obviously not.
Yeah, you'd have thought. He comes off now. Fabinho on to replace him. 1-1 the score. Throw to Japan, taken back inside their own half. And now the pass is played down to the right-hand side for Sugawara. The way to try to turn, can't do so. Ball cleared. Brazil picking up the seconds in midfield. Good ball forward. Here's Endrick, right-hand side of the penalty area. Danger for Japan here. Endrick getting a run towards goal. The angle very tight by the time he tried to work it through the 6-yard box. Good defending coming in from Taniguchi. And it's a corner to Brazil in the 93rd minute of the game.
Yeah, Taniguchi, excellent defending there. Kept his eye on the ball. Low centre of gravity. Endrick twisting, turning, just couldn't find the angle for the shot.
Vinicius waits on the edge of the box. Fabinho waiting on the edge of the penalty area as well. Chance to work this corner in from the Brazilian right. High ball, Fabinho got his head to it, and it's gone way over the bar and out of play for a goal kick. Got to be taken by Zion Suzuki. Well, but for Suzuki's brilliant save, the wheels would have fallen off for Japan. There's a big moment with the goalkeeper having dived away to his left to flick that Vinicius effort onto the inside of the post about 5 minutes after they got their equalising goal. And that was when the Brazilians were at their best, but they've lost their way again a little bit since then. There haven't really been too many oohs and ahs in that Japanese penalty area in the last 25 minutes or so. Still probably about 4 minutes of added time to go here. The prescribed 6 will be elongated because of the Casemiro injury and subsequent change. Fabinho, the man that's come on to replace him, former Monaco and Liverpool man. Out of the left-hand side for Douglas Santos. And play back for Gabriel to Marquinhos. Marquinhos sending it out of the Brazilian right. Remember, Japan have never won a World Cup knockout tie. Brazil have never failed to be in the last 16 of the World Cup. Both of those runs could end here. 3 minutes to go before we go to extra time. 1-1 the score here in Texas. Brazil working the ball forward down the inside right channel, getting it back. Neat little 1-2. Bruno Guimaraes wanting it edge of the penalty area. He's pulled back behind him instead towards Endrick. Good defending by Tanaka. Oh, he's then given it away. Poked him back inside his own penalty area. Bruno Guimaraes left-footed. Big chance. The winner. Gabriel Martinelli. Brazil have got away with it. A 96-minute goal from Martinelli after a mistake from Tanaka. And a day that looked as though it could be an ignominious World Cup exit for Brazil. Now, surely destined to end with victory. Brazil 2, Japan 1. The same familiar story. The Japanese shooting themselves in the foot right at the end of the game. Tanaka's been excellent since he's come on, but he's given it away. He's been punished emphatically, and Brazil are going to be going through.
Well, the mistake on the edge of the box, just lost possession, and from that moment on they were chasing the ball, and it fell to Martinelli, who just cushioned it with his left foot and just guided it with his right. The goalkeeper's done brilliant. He's got a touch on that against Suzuki that pushed it onto the post, but on this occasion the inside of the post, and it's nestled in the back of the net. So I don't think there's any way back now, Jim.
Carlo Ancelotti barely moved the muscle. He saw Martinelli fire it in and just turned away as if he always knew exactly what the destiny of the afternoon was. Japan are going to make another change. They're going to bring Maeda off and throw on another striker, Koki Ogawa, who's got 11 goals in 17 internationals. And he'll come on here. I reckon there's about 2 minutes left to play. Could be 2.5 potentially. Brazil will make a change as well. Bruno Guimaraes coming off. And Danilo Santos, the former Nottingham Forest player, who's now back in Brazil playing for Botafogo, is going to come on. So it's a defensive-minded midfield change for Brazil. Guimaraes working the crowd, pumping his fists as he leaves the field. And on comes Danilo Santos to replace him. 2-1 Brazil. This was a day that could have been so different. Although the Japanese have been so game, Brazil will feel, I think with some justification, that they've deserved to win it. From the kickoff, Japan working back to their goalkeeper, Zion Suzuki, pumping it forward long. Headed away by Fabinho on the edge of his own penalty area. Back from Tanaka, who'll be heartbroken at his part in that goal. Japanese get it out towards the left flank. It's cleared by one of the Brazilian defenders, and it's flicked off Yosuke Suzuki and gone out for a throw. Going to be taken on the Brazilian right, and the Brazilian commentators in front of us are signalling that it is the end of the game. There's absolutely no way. There's got to be 90 seconds left yet. Because of the Casemiro injury, the lengthy celebrations after the Martinelli goal. Brazil will work the ball forward now. They've been given a free kick when an advantage would have had them clean through on goal with a chance to make it 3-1 and seal it. But they have a free kick. They have an opportunity to maintain possession, which they will take deep inside their own half. The goal from Martinelli, his first ever in the World Cup, scored against Japan back in October in a losing cause, but he surely got the winner for him today against the same opposition.
Yeah, it looks that way, and the game hinged on probably that 10 minutes after half-time when they had a power play almost, Brazil, and just said, just put everything in the box, and that sort of unhinged and put Japan on the back foot. They've not had a threat going forward really since then.
Taniguchi with a defensive header. Machino giving something to chase, will make his way forward. He's got a Gower in support, and Machino is given a free kick away. He's just lent into his man. And he's furious that the decision has gone against him, but it will be a free kick to Brazil about 10 yards outside their own box. We've played 9.5 minutes of added time. It can only be 20 seconds or so to go. And unless Marquinhos scuffs this free kick, or indeed Alisson, who's going to take it, and he scuffs it straight to the nearest Japanese player, Brazil have won. Alisson just deliberately respotting the ball, given the hurry up here by the referee. But the next whistle may well be the final whistle. Pump forward here by Alisson, out towards the right-hand touchline. Ryan going up for it. Zion Suzuki will pick it up. All Brazilian fans whistling, wanting the full-time whistle to come. Suzuki clatters it forward. High ball forward from him. Fabinho wins it in the air. Back it comes to Sugawara. Turn forward towards the edge of the Brazilian penalty area. Should be a yellow shirt there first. It is. It's Santos. And he's got it clear. One back by Sugawara. Boom, clear again down the Brazilian left. Out of play for a Japanese throw that there can barely be time to take. Sugawara being told that he's got to retreat. He's got to take it from something like the right position, right in front of the Japanese bench. The waistcoated Japanese coach Hajime Moriyasu is out from the dugout, taking a ball off the surface. Another ball thrown inside the penalty area, knocked away, turned back forward, and that is that. Every successful World Cup journey inevitably just has a few moments of discontent and skirmish along the way. Carlo Ancelotti, masterminding and come from behind win here for Brazil, knows that they have to improve, but they've got the job done against a dangerous Japanese team. They trailed at half-time. Casemiro, who's at fault for the Japanese goal, equalised in a spell of intense Brazilian pressure. Vinicius almost scored a brilliant goal, only for Zion Suzuki to tip his effort onto the post. They left it late for the deep-lying Martinelli to score a 96-minute winner. Japan, valiant, but still haven't won a knockout World Cup match in their history. Brazil have still never been knocked out before we've got to the round of 16. They've had a scare today, but they've got the job done in Houston. Brazil 2, Japan 1.
And it was live on TalkSport, and Japan might look back, and a couple of injuries meant their squads, whole World Cup squads, that wasn't quite at full strength, might look back on that and think what might have been. They might look back on the second half and think they possibly could have attacked a little bit more. We'll get into the details of what went wrong for them and what went right for Brazil in due course, of course. But Brazil are through, and Jim's right, Stuart. It was a scare for Brazil, but they kept attacking. They kept plugging away, kept getting crosses in. They kept listening to their fans, urging them on. They were the ones going forward, trying to win the game after the equaliser. And in the end, they got the winning goal. And Brazil are through. And I'd have to say, on the whole game, I think Brazil deserve it.
Probably on the run of play, you would say yes, they did. I think that power play just after half-time of 10 minutes, 10 crosses in 10 minutes. And you would fully expect that the manager has turned around and given some guidance on that. They stopped doing that after they got the goal, which I think was costly until Martinelli managed to get the winner late on in the game. But I think the difference was Brazil can go to the bench and bring player after player on, why Japan start to lose their efficiency, I think, the more substitutes they make.
I understand what you're saying. However, Japan didn't try to attack, and that was their game plan. We talked about it at half-time. They sit back, the stats mean they don't have possession, they don't have chances, and everybody understands their game plan. But at some point, that game plan's going to come unstuck, because you will take on a side and you'll ask them, can you score against us? And guess what? They can, and Brazil did.
Yeah, they did. You've got to give them credit for that. But the thing was, they try to keep hanging on, taking the two wing-backs off that are offensive wing-backs and more defensive wing-backs, and it's cost them.
I don't think they could have approached it any other way. My guess is that if you speak to Hajime Moriyasu after the game, and talk about his substitutions and talk about the ones that he didn't make, he would say that he did everything right. I don't think he'll have any regrets. That was the only way they could win the game. They get the lead, they try and protect it, they can't protect it. He then shorts things up, he brings the defensive wing backs on as opposed to the attacking ones that he'd started the game with, in a bit to try and shore things up. They came within 2 minutes of getting into extra time. He hadn't really got any principal attacking options he could bring off the bench. Only a Gower, who's a bit part substitute, who's been very effective off the bench in some circumstances. I don't think they could have done anything else. And I know exactly what you mean. Feels as though, in a way, they've gone out with a little bit of a whimper in the last 25 minutes because they've had no attacking efforts until they went 2-1 down and then have tried to throw stuff forward. I don't think, though, they could have approached it any other way.
What I'm saying is, if this was a Premier League game, Japan, as a Premier League side, will be hammered for parking the bus, basically. They would get criticised for it. So we can call them valiant, but is this like a vintage Brazil side that is going to sweep the board and absolutely annihilate everybody in front of them? I don't think so.
No, but you say they get hammered. Who are they getting hammered by? They won't be getting hammered by the Japanese supporters here. You've got a side that is 6th in the world against a side who are 19th. If you use the Premier League analogy, that's a side chasing Champions League football against a side in the bottom 3. The side in the bottom 3 approach it like that, take a lead and sit back, know that their best weapons are potent counter-attacking, then I don't think necessarily they would be hammered for that. I just think that was the only way that they could approach this. At 1-1, I don't think that Brazil was showing, with the players that Japan had on the field at that stage, I don't think that they could try and attack anymore. They would just have left carving great big holes for Brazil to exploit, play to Brazil's strengths.
I think that with the manager saying pre-tournament, we're here to win it, I ain't never going to win it playing like that. So I don't think he was. I think he was disingenuous in saying that. And I think in time they may well have regrets, because you're saying taking the attacking wing backs off in a bid to shore it up. Well, why don't you want to go and win the game? You're saying to Brazil, have you got the quality to score against us? And you're taking a chance that they haven't. And I don't think this Brazil side is particularly great. I don't think they're going to win the World Cup. And I'm thinking if Japan are serious about winning it, as their manager suggested they were, then they'd have given it a bit more of a go. I think that's all I'm saying about Japan, really. And I think equating the world rankings to the Premier League, I understand why you're doing that, but it doesn't work like that. Nobody in the bottom 3 of the Premier League says at the start of the season we're going to win the Premier League title, do they?
No. Good point, well made. But what I would say is, if you're comparing it to a Premier League fixture, I don't think that the Japanese would look at this if it was a Premier League game and would be vilified for their approach here. I don't see that being the case. I think that the best way that Japan had of winning it, where they've been able to score their goals, is to sit back, turn over possession and break quickly. And that was what they were trying to play for. Now, they didn't have any opportunities to do it, so you're more than right in saying that the game plan failed. But I don't see that an alternative game plan would have been more likely to provide success.
Brazil through to the round of 16. They'll face either Ivory Coast or Norway. It could be England in a quarter-final. Long way to go before that. So let's not count too many chickens. And Jim, you and I have a massive row here. There's only one way to settle it, and that's having an eating contest. And after me last night with the chicken wings and the rack of ribs, I think I'm favourite, very much the favourite for that.
Yeah, I'll hold my hand up. Okay, you got it right.
Thank you very much. We forgot Stuart Pearce was here. Sorry, mate. We've given you time to collect your thoughts on the game, listen to both sides of the argument. Where do you sit on it?
I agree with Jim. I think the game plan of the Japanese was the game plan. If you've not got sensational frontline players, which the Japanese I don't think have, you know what I mean? I don't see too many of their players at the front line of their team playing at blue chip teams around Europe that are renowned as and probably their best player potentially that might have made a difference, Mitoma, was not on the pitch and available today. So I really think that might have been costly to them over time. But I think Brazil slightly edged it. They edged it because they changed their tactical approach at half-time, and in the next 10 minutes they just put the ball in the box, very agricultural, to get a foothold back in the game and an equaliser. And for me, that 10 minutes changed the course of the game.
And the winner came from a mistake, Tanaka giving the ball away. And actually, after that, I thought it was brilliant. There was a little bit of genius about that winning goal, because Bruno Guimaraes just waits edge of the box. He's got the ball at his feet, and he makes the perfectly weighted pass to Martinelli, who basically stands still. Defenders around him are moving. He stands still, holds a position where he knows if he gets the ball, he's got a good chance of scoring. Controls the pass superbly and finishes as well. Keeper does his best to get to it, but can't keep it out. I actually think after the mistake, there's a lot of quality with that.